column here, 21 points, 13 boards, 8 assists, 7 for 15 shooting. He makes a couple of threes. And then Millsap also. Paul Millsap on just 10 shots, 20 points for him, 7 rebounds, makes his only three-pointer. 4 guys with 20 or more points for the Denver Nuggets. Huge, huge come-from-behind victory. Can't say enough about that for them. And a serious blown lead. Another great defensive performance, at least through 2 quarters or 3 quarters. But it definitely 2. They had held the Nuggets to 49 points at halftime. Not a terribly low number, but again, anytime you can hold the Nuggets under 100, that's big. And even just 26 points in the third quarter, most of it at the end of the third quarter. And then 39 in the fourth quarter. Really, really rough there for the San Antonio Spurs. Defensively looked good, but just a lapse. And not even necessarily a lapse. I mean, people started making shots. For the Spurs, DeMar DeRozan finishes with 31 points, 7 rebounds, 11 for 19 shooting. One of his best games in the playoffs, actually. Not just these playoffs, but just about any playoffs. LaMarcus Aldridge, 24 points, 8 rebounds. Took him 20 shots to get there, though. Not his best game. Again, how about Derek White? G League MVP out of Colorado. Nothing extreme here, but 7 for 11 shooting, 1 for 2 from downtown, 17 points. Good overall game there as what I guess is the new starting point guard for the San Antonio Spurs. Not enough, though. Nobody else in double figures, or really even close to double figures. Bellinelli gives you 8 points in 23 minutes. Other than that, 5 is the most for any other player. A big 1-2 performance out of DeRozan and Aldridge. Obviously, they combined for 55, which would be more than half of the points that San Antonio scored in the game, but not enough to do it. Denver, huge comeback at home, much needed. You definitely didn't want San Antonio to be up 2-0 going home with a massive home court advantage at that point. Big, much-needed victory for the Denver Nuggets. They tie the series at 1 game apiece. And then the last game of last night. Started out really good, ended up being still pretty intense, but just a little bit more of a blowout. Big third quarter. I think it was tied at halftime. Yeah, it was tied at halftime. What was it? 54-54 at halftime. C.J. McCollum. He was actually, I guess, what you might call the star of the game here. He finishes with 33 points, 3 3-pointers, 8 rebounds, 5 assists. And the Portland Trail Blazers beat the Oklahoma City Thunder, 114-94. Oklahoma City scores just 40 points after halftime, and Portland puts up 60 after halftime. So a 20-point scoring differential for the Blazers in the second half. And I just saw that Damian Lillard himself is a plus 19 per game, plus minus, so far in this series, dominating Russell Westbrook. He finishes with 29 points, 4 3-pointers, 6 assists, 4 rebounds for him. Awesome game. Clutch Dame. He's probably been the best player in the NBA playoffs so far, and for any team. I mean, he's probably the best player in the playoffs so far. Definitely looks like he's deserving of, I mean, at the very least, you now got to say NBA All-Team, all second team at the worst. I mean, you could even make a case that he might be more important than Curry at some points. Big game for him. Nobody else really plays that well for Portland. Maurice Harkless gives you 14 points and 9 rebounds on 9 shots. Pretty good game. Cantor in this one doesn't play nearly as well as the last one. They gave him just 20 minutes, 6 points, 5 rebounds. Nothing special in that one. But the 2 guards play really, really well and actually pretty good defensively. And another tough shooting night for a lot of these guys. Russell Westbrook, 14 points on 20 shots. 1 for 6 from downtown. He does add 11 assists and 9 rebounds, though. Pretty good there. Kind of a Russell Westbrook-y game. How about Terrence Ferguson? Takes 9 shots, 1 for 5 from downtown. Finishes with just 7 points. Jeremy Grant, 0 for 5 from downtown. 1 for 7 overall. Finishes with just 5 points. Paul George, the best player on the team, was the best player in the game for the Thunder. 27 points and 8 rebounds for him. But still, 11 for 20 shooting. Just 2 of his 7 threes go in. Tough game there. Overall, Steven Adams actually played pretty well. This was his bounce-back game. He kind of held Cantor to a low output, even though his team lost. He goes 7 for 8 from the field with 16 points, 9 rebounds to add to that. Did get in a little bit of foul trouble, though. Huge game here for Portland. I actually won some money on it. I'm feeling ballsy in that one. Went for it. I got a -1, which I thought was preposterous at home, especially with the way that Dame treated Russell Westbrook. I feel bad for Russell Westbrook right now, honestly. Like, I actually feel bad for Russell Westbrook. He's one of my favorite players in the NBA, and he's a fucking dog. He's an animal. I mean, you usually feel bad, even if players are better than him. You feel bad. Like, in recent times, I feel bad for Lillard with their beef and shit like that. Lillard was the one that came across as, I don't know. But now Lillard, Oakland boy, he's stepped his shit up, and he's dominating right now. He's dominating Russell Westbrook. I think he had 2 blocks of Russell Westbrook last night. He caused 4 Russell Westbrook turnovers last night. It's going to be, right now he looks like he's unquestionably a better player. And even a month ago, 2 months ago, I don't know how many people actually would say that. So, and I don't know that I would, but right now, I know, no question. Portland goes up 2-0 in the series. Not the end of the world. Goes back to Oklahoma City for 2 now, obviously, but definitely a huge 2 W's for Portland. A lot of people were picking Oklahoma City to beat them in the whole series itself. So that was probably one of the rougher matchups, that one or the Nuggets and Spurs, mainly because of the loss of Nurkic. We'll see how Cantor plays. We'll see how well he plays moving forward, and we'll see how well Steven Adams plays moving forward, and that'll probably dictate a lot of it too. But mainly keep your eye on that Dame Lillard versus Russell Westbrook point guard battle. Alrighty, we're moving to today's games. It's about 1 o'clock here in Boise. Everything I say is going to be Mountain Standard Time or Mountain Daylight Savings Time, according to my dad. I'm not sure which is which, and I don't think it really matters. But the first game, we have the Boston Celtics at home, Game 2, hosting the Indiana Pacers. It's been like 3 days since they played. If you remember, it was a terrible second half of the first game for the Indiana Pacers. They couldn't shoot. Where's their scoring going to come from? Bogdanovich is obviously their leading scorer on the year and has been a great shooter, especially at the end of the season. But the length, the youth, the athleticism, especially defensively for the Boston Celtics, whether it's Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, Marcus Morris, seems to be a problem as far as him scoring. And then anybody else after that, they don't really have a fantastic scorer other than him. And so really looks like they got shut down. It can be 5 o'clock on TNT tonight. Boston's already up 1-0. As I said, this is Game 2. Al Horford listed as day-to-day, but it's pretty positive he's going to end up playing the game here. Not much really to say. I mean, Kyrie's going to play. Marcus Smart's obviously out. Terry Rozier has been playing the second guard for the most part, mixed with Jaylen Brown. Usually they'll start Brown and then play Rozier quite a bit, or even all 3 of them kind of even minutes. But yeah, Boston's going to be favored by 7.5 points at home, up 1 game. I don't see a BPI pick, but the ESPN's spread consensus picks has Boston at a 66% chance to cover the 7.5 points. 2 more games from tonight. We also have talked about the second one a little bit earlier when we were talking about Bliggity Blake Griffin. The Milwaukee Bucks at home, up 1-0, winning the first game by 31 points or whatever it was, or 36 points or whatever it was. Hosting the Detroit Pistons, Blake Griffin might play. You got to think if Detroit has any chance to win a game at all, or even be truly competitive in this series, they're going to have Blake Griffin come back. Hopefully today, if you're a Pistons fan. Like I said, Milwaukee's up 1-0. There's not much to break down in this one. Griffin, Tony Snell's going to be injured, which isn't probably a major thing there. Blake Griffin says his status is out on ESPN's thing, but as I talked about earlier, it's technically day-to-day, and he's questionable for this game. Milwaukee's going to be favored by 15 points at home, and I don't see any reason why that is ridiculous at all. I mean, I think that they have a good shot of winning by 25 points. As a matter of fact, ESPN's Pick Center gives a 73% chance that Milwaukee covers that 15-point spread. If they don't play Blake Griffin, the spread is going to jump to 18 or 19. Almost no way to make money on either team. Tough one. I'd be staying away from this shit for sure. And talking about the spreads too, I like Boston tonight. I think Boston wins relatively easily tonight. I would like them as a spread, to be honest. This one right here, though, pretty self-explanatory. 6 p.m. on NBA TV if you're looking to catch the action. And then the final game of the night at 7:30, the second half of a doubleheader on TNT. Game 2 from Houston. The Houston Rockets and the Beard are going to be hosting the Utah Jazz. Game 2. First one was a 28-point blowout or something like that. A tough game for Utah. Looks like Kyle Korver and Thabo Sefolosha are day-to-day, but both of them are likely going to play. Not the most important thing that Utah gets a victory here, going down 2-0 on the road. Not the worst thing of all time. But this game, this series was supposed to be pretty competitive. Utah was, one of the 3 best defensive teams in the league. And in the first game, Houston looked like they were one of the 3 best defensive teams in the league. So a tough one there for Utah. Maybe they're able to bounce back, maybe not. James Harden, tough shooting game. Maybe he'll be able to bounce back and have a better game, most likely. Maybe not. Always a volume shooter for him, but don't be surprised if he scores 42. Houston at home, going to be favored by 6.5 points. And the pick center at ESPN is going to say 73% chance that comes true. All right, that's going to take us to the end of the NBA today for April 17th, 2019. Before I let you go, I do want to say go ahead and subscribe to the podcast just about anywhere you get your podcasts. Whether it's Android, whether it's iTunes, any of that shit should be available on all of them. Intelligent Thoughts, subscribe, rate and review. Be interesting to see what anybody has to say. You go ahead and check me out. My social media pages are a lot more than just the podcast. Realistically, it's I try to just kind of spread random news in and amongst the sports that I'm interested in, or that NBA, MLB, NFL, MMA, things like that. So you can get some good information there, along with memes and shit like that. A lot of fun. If you want to check that out on Twitter, you're looking at Intelligent Tho 1. That's THO and then number 1. On Instagram, Intelligent B Thoughts. That's the word B in between Intelligent Thoughts. And Facebook, Intelligent Thoughts. Just the page. That's all it is. Just Intelligent Thoughts. You guys can go ahead and check that shit out. Love to hear from you if you like the show. And if you don't, that's cool too. We'll fucking hear from you. We'll talk. All right, that's going to bring us to the end of the show, though. We're coming back here in about, I think, like 10 minutes with Week 3 MLB recap. Me and my boy Matt Beckham. We're doing it again. Hopefully you'll enjoy that. You can get it in the same exact places you get any of these, NBA Today or anything like that. Until then, listen to some Night Owl.